The rapid increase in the demand for lumber on the domestic timber market, coupled with inadequate supply, has become one of the critical forest governance issues in the forest sector today. Though sawmills are expected to supply the domestic market with about 40% of their production, this is said to be unavailable due to the preference of the mills to supply to the export market for better prices. This in turn has engineered the flooding of the domestic market with illegal lumber, making it difficult for some high-volume timber consumers such as contractors, civil engineers and estate developers among others to access legal timber. Others also contend with the proper identification of legal timber on the domestic market. It is to bridge this legal wood demand and supply gap on the domestic market that officials in the forestry sector of Ghana, Liberia and Cote d'Ivoire have met with stakeholders in the construction industry to deliberate on the way forward. The Trade and Industry Development Manager of the Timber Industry Development Division, TIDD, of the Forestry Commission, Mr. Peter Zomelo, explained the processes put in place by the Commission through the Domestic Timber Inspection Certificate (DOTIC) in acquiring legal timber.
This will be a means of verification and a means of tracking timber from the sawmill to consumers, and when it gets to the local markets, to retailers, they need to also procure or cover it with waybill to certify that the timber is sourced from legal sources.
Mr. Zomelo said the passage of the public procurement policy on timber and timber products would enhance the provision of legal timber on the domestic market, as it will ensure that all public procurement institutions and contractors working on public projects use only legal timber in the execution of their work. The Director of Nature and Development Foundation, Mr. Mustafa Saidu, expressed dissatisfaction at the delay in passing the policy. He advised government to combine the passage of the policy with a legislative instrument to make the policy more binding.
Without any legislation backing the policy, somebody will say it's just an advice, that you cannot actually take somebody into the law court or to sanction somebody for not complying with an advice. That would be something unheard of in our laws. I would be happy if they pass the policy, but if they combine the two, that would have been perfect and that would have been good for the process.
The workshop was funded by the Food and Agriculture Organization under the project Innovation for Improved Forest Governance in West Africa, Demand and Supply Side Solutions in a Changing Landscape. Salome Tetteh, GBC 24, Kofodia.